Today, I wanted to show you the difference between what a run of show looks like or a should include versus a production text script for, say, a virtual event conference. So I will start first with the run of show. Every event that respects itself should have a run of show. Now, how detailed that is and how much information there is on that run of show, that really is up to you, the event organizer or the event producer or whomever is the person in charge of that document. I like my documents kind of detailed because if I do happen to work on multiple events at the same time, if one of the run of shows and the production schedules has limited information between now and months from now, I might not remember all the details for that particular event. So the more information, the better as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so what are you looking at right now is a run of show, and it was for an event that happened in June. This particular schedule is broken in 2 columns. It says that event will start live at 11:30 a.m. and this could be any time zone you're in. I think we're working in Pacific time zone at the time. If I am in Mountain time zone and the event is happening in a different time zone, I usually like to add one more column on this side to tell which time zone are we referring to. So maybe the event organizer is working in their time zone, but I'm also working in my own time zone. So there's like no confusion. And we have breakouts, and on this schedule, we have the title of the content that will be presented in each one of those breakouts. And we have some live content and some pre-recorded. But if you look at this, none of the information shared here will tell you who the presenters are. Is this some type of a solo presenter? Is it a 2 conversational type of setup, or is it a panel? So you wouldn't know, right? You're just looking at what is the making of this event, what are we including here, and what are the most important sessions that will be presented. And then same thing will happen, as we go down on the timeline. You're looking to a side-by-side view again. So if this is day 1, this would be actually day 2. That's why the timing is a little different. This seems a little bit confusing if you are building it this way, but it makes sense for the organizer to look at it a bird's eye view, what happens each day for each one of those breakouts. And then at the end, towards the end of the event, on day 1, we have a discussion. And on day 2, we have a plenary panel and then Q&A towards the end of the event. So this is your schedule, run of show schedule. And again, you can make it to be as you want it to be. If that has to be super detailed, make it detailed. If it has to be just bird's eye view of the conference, you can do that as well. Okay, in my next example, I'm going to show you for the same conference, the production text script of what that would translate. What does the schedule translate when it comes to taking it to the production level? Okay, so what you're looking at right now is the production text script that would technically translate all the information that was on the run of show into a document that has just a little bit more information that is related to the production of the event. The same way you would have on the run of show, the beginning of the event, the breakouts, and the ending for day 1. And then day 2 would have, again, opening, breakouts, and then closing. I have the same thing here. The only difference is that now I'm including a little bit of extra information. And I work again on 2 different time zones. The time here is listed as to where is the event taking place, where is the organizer, and then sometimes I would keep track of my own time zone. And it can be confusing by the time you add 2 different time zones, but it keeps me in check that I'm pushing sessions at the right time. And again, you see different lines, such as if we were to start the opening at 11:30, there's a few different things that happen before 11:30. And for this event, we were actually pushing live at 11:25, which would give us some time to troubleshoot the push into the platform. We were streaming this into an event platform. So we would play some graphic videos with music, sponsor loop before we even went live. Now, this session actually was an introduction that was pre-recorded, yet pushed as it were live. And that is something that as an event organizer, it's so important to decide, because this gives you a lot of security. You got this presenter on a different time to record some of the intros and the outros. And I would have a separate tab here that would track all those intros and outros that were recorded at a completely different time and for different sessions. And then they would get edited. They would get nicely dressed up so that are branded to the event. You don't just have one person and there's no graphics and there's nothing, just bare minimum. So this gives us the option to actually dress up the intros and the outros in a way that is, one, branded to the event, but also relevant, and they're short, they're edited so that are very concise, and there's not a lot of dilly-dallying. The same thing happens with a lot of the sessions. I would have a completely separate tab for all the sessions that were pre-recorded, and I document things such as the recording date, the time, how long the video that was recorded is. And this is the unedited version. And why does that matter is because, for example, some of the sessions that are all 45 minutes, but some of the content is 24 minutes long. Another one is perfectly 45, which is a miracle. But then there's some that are longer, right? So I need to get this content to fit within the time slot that is assigned for that session. And then we start managing and manipulating the content to fit our purpose. And then we have different things like the StreamYard link. Each of the things that I needed to figure out what are those elements for this particular content that is required to be tracked and kept in check. And then I do tag checks that involves everyone that's part of the event would have gone through this check. And as you can see, I do track, different things, and I like to keep tabs on everything that has relation to what is the liability for this one person to come live versus for them to be pre-recorded. If there's anything that jumps out at me, then that already becomes a little bit of an issue, right? I'm looking at upload speeds. Yeah, I don't know if that is really going to work out. So we need to possibly look at pre-recording this session. So that becomes, instead of a live session, could be a pre-recorded session. And all of this is done prior to the event, many times months before the event. And then coming back to the production script, this is where we start building this into it, right? We have all the content done. We have all the pre-recorded. How do we push this content now to create the event? So we would have content that is pre-recorded, that is pushed live. We would have content that is pre-recorded, that is uploaded to the platform and playing at a specific time on a specific day. And then we would have live content with live presenters and moderators that would come live and would engage with the audience live. Now, each one of those pre-recorded presenters would also be part of the event live during their session. So say if Sally was presenting during this time slot, she's actually now available in chat to engage with her audience during the playing of her content and respond to a lot of the questions that are happening during that time frame. So it was super awesome to have that option so that Sally doesn't feel pressure to go through her content super fast and then get to the audience questions, because now she can do that while her content is playing and respond live to those questions as they're happening. Because we all know that when you're presenting something, you might not get to all the questions. So that's a way for the event organizer to, one, be sure that Sally doesn't have any technical problems showing up live. She can present her content without feeling stressed or a lot of anxiety over technology and whatnot. And then she can also get, as a presenter, through her content without a lot of the, again, anxiety of being live, but also get to the questions, because at the end of the day, it's not just you spitting out a lot of content, it's you actually being able to engage with our audience and answer their questions. So that's basically what would be tracked here. And then as we go into, more of the nitty gritty, I would have different links for go live. I would have different session lengths, like how long is the session versus how long it should be. I would have check marks events? Was this added to our sharing method? Was it added to the event platform? If it was going live to an event platform, I would have, the RTMP code links and the stream keys. And again, all of this right now is irrelevant because the event already happened. So none of these links are actually live. So this is just the top level difference between what a run of show schedule versus a production test script would have different on each one of those. And in most cases, the virtual event producer or the technical event producer would work on this side of the document, the production test script, and the event planner, event organizer will work on this side of the document. And then I translate everything that's in here to a production test script that I can read and I can follow. And I hope this kind of gives you an idea of what this looks like. I have more simplified versions of those text scripts run of show for someone that does an event for themselves, like a live stream that's super simple. And that would include less colors and less columns and all the fun stuff that you just noticed on my templates. But again, you make it to be whatever it needs to be for you and your event to help and support that. And if it needs to be more detailed, make it detailed. If it needs to be less details because you can remember everything, which would not be me, then make it that. This is just my version of what something that I would work on would look like and what I like to dive into details because that's what works for me. If you have any feedback, if you have any suggestions, if you have any questions, please reach out to me. You can find me on social media under my Instagram, Trifan Events, or my podcast, Events Demystified Podcast as well. Yeah, I'm always willing to learn from you, but also if I can answer any questions, I would certainly do so.